We are live. Welcome back to another episode of the Consistency Conversation. Today, on this episode, I have my friend, my brother, a guy who I consider a member of my wolf pack, part of my network, man, the all around guy, Dr. RaShad Easley. We met a long time ago, but I ain't gonna ruin the good story, so I'm gonna have him kind of sort of introduce himself and then walk us through from the time we met up until the current moment.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about consistency, what's going on, my brother? Good
That
to see
much,
you.
man. Great to see you,
Yeah.
man. Great to have you finally on after, from where we started to where we are right now. The man, it's been a journey.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And because we're talking about fitness, I'll introduce myself this way. I'm Dr. RaShad Easley. Um, I Next year will be the year I can say change the statement I'm about to make. More than half of my life, I was over 300 plus pounds, or I was a very overweight person, mostly in my teen, like my childhood, teen years, and into my 20s. And and I actually did get engaged in sports, and I played in the band and stuff. So I was active, but I learned, later in life, about my life. So at my heaviest, I was at 302, and at my lightest, I was at least intentionally 165. And today, I weigh 175. And so, I like to introduce myself like that, since we're talking about fitness, and then to say that I do multiple things is not just fitness, if you will. I mean, fitness can mean a lot of things, though. So, so anyway, that's how I kick it
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Let's talk about how we talk to us a little bit about how we met and how we got introduced to each other.
Well, I mean, we both were working at the university here in the city, in the state, NC State, and we met in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
As I recall, we met in the gym. What was interesting is, I could tell that you had a workout regime, because when you had on your army gear, you were with your your friend, and it
Mm-hmm.
felt good for me to see two black men,
Mm-hmm.
and working out, we're both military,
Mm-hmm.
and so for me, as a person who had been a bigger guy and who had lost weight, I always consider myself a student of working out and of learning. Even I've done a lot and learned a lot, and got results I can still learn and make it better. So
Mm-hmm.
by the time I had met you, I had already trained with the Navy and the Marine ROTC
Mm-hmm.
folks, and then I met you, right? So I almost felt like the military was in competition with, like, is who's going to break me or who's going to make me, like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And but but it was different because because y'all were black, and those men and women were not.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way that you came to me was a little different than the way that they came to me. You
Yeah.
introduce yourself, what's going on, man, and what you do around here. Like, it wasn't even, you didn't even come at first about working out. You
Mm-hmm.
introduced yourself to me first and wanted to know who I was. And then after we talked, I think twice or three times, that's when you invited me to work out with you. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
really? Okay. And and then I did it, and I think, and I don't think you were trying to get me to prove something, but you saw that I was serious. Like, okay, okay,
Mm-hmm.
he really about this. And then I
Yeah.
think sometimes we would meet up in the gym, and I would come there, and we work out, and then we started connecting on what we actually did at the university, which I think, I think that's probably what cemented the friendship. When we saw
Mm-hmm.
how entrenched we were in education. And then I remember right before we parted ways, because I remember,
Mm-hmm.
we parted ways for a little bit. You gave me a gift that I still have. I should have pulled it out, but it's in my gym, because I turned my garage into a gym.
Mm-hmm.
You gave me a booklet of these workout routines that the Army uses, and you told me
Yeah.
that, if you look overall fitness long term, and at least from what I can tell, I think that you're right, because I haven't seen anything that challenges it. That people, now we say people, right? We say men, but at the time we said men, but men and women. No, you said men and women.
Mm-hmm.
What am I talking about? You said both. Now, stay in shape longer and in better fitness longer. In the Army, based on a lot of the ways that you all, train, and
Train
and
and
what you
mm-hmm.
do. So then that, so then, we, kind of part ways, but, stay in touch here and there, go through our life changes and everything. Then we come back together. Um, well, tell it before, but we kind of really came back cemented during the pandemic again,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and then I moved, relocated back to North Carolina. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's the other thing. We both kind of went separate paths.
Mm-hmm.
After a while,
Yeah, because I was still in the
you finish your
military.
degree. Yeah, right. You in the
Mm-hmm.
military, then you finish your degree, and
Yep.
then wrapping that chapter up, that part. And then I think when we met, I was wrapping up my degree, or if
It
I
was
had just
in
finished it or something.
2010. In
So I was so
2010.
so I was in the middle of it. Yeah. So when we met, I was in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of it. So yeah, we parted ways after I finished my doctorate,
Yeah.
and after you
Yep.
had they finished your education. So then that's the thing. We closed one chapter,
Yeah.
then we went, and then we come back, and then
Yeah.
we got these other
I
changes, and we
left
both
in
look
I
like this,
left in 2013. I left in
and
about
that's when I
December
graduated,
13. That's
and
when I
that's when I
left, and I went to
graduated.
Korea. Yeah, that's when I
Gotcha.
graduated too.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
same
right.
time. I didn't get to go to my graduation though. I
That's what
tried
you.
to go,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
the military wouldn't extend me an extra like 2 weeks. I think I was
Uh,
graduating right around the 15th or something, and I had to
mm,
report to Korea by like the 4th or 5th. So I
yeah.
asked for an extension. I was like, I just want to be able to walk across the stage. I didn't get to go to my
Yeah.
associates. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
well, I finally get to go, but it didn't work out. But fortunately, I'm about to complete my master's and I
Hey.
will graduate, next month, you know.
Hey.
So it all came
Congratulations.
full circle, man. 21
That's
years
right.
later.
Here
But
we are.
but it ain't about me. They ain't tuned in to listen to me, man. They want to hear more about you, man. So
Okay.
at what age or what time actually or what circumstance or what caused you to get to a point to where at your heaviest at 302 you decided to make a change in your life?
To be honest, man, it was an external stimulant. I saw an old buddy of mine that he wasn't as big as me, but he was a bigger guy. And when I got to graduate school, he, came to meet me at my dorm room at the time where I was staying in the resident hall. And when I opened the door, I almost didn't recognize him. And it just blew me away. And I hadn't seen him. It hadn't been too long since we had seen each other. It'd been a couple of years, but not like, matter of fact, I was going to relate to
Did he
something that
lose
happened to me on
weight?
Sunday. But anyway, he looked, yeah, he lost weight. He looked
He lost
completely
weight.
different. He had
Hmm.
grown his hair out. Like he looked like he had gained years back. And I was just like, man, how did you do that? And and I mean, I just like, how did you do that? Like, how, because at that point, I think I was just at a point in my life where it was just kind of like I wanted to feel a certain way. And I kind of wanted to, and I think that the way that I felt was tied up in how I looked, which I would tell people that I do think that that is not correct, but sometimes, sometimes it may take that to get people there, but
Hmm.
but I don't think that that's the right way to be. You know what I'm saying? I think it should be based on how you feel, not how you look.
Okay.
Fitness in particular, well,
Hmm.
any health anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
So he said he was a vegetarian, and I've been a vegetarian for 22 years.
Mm.
So I mean, it was like so one, I am on the spectrum, and so the way that I process things sometimes is when I feel like I see you see me do it, but you probably just the way that I am, it doesn't, it makes sense, right? When I see something and it makes sense, I don't waste time to apply it.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So like if
Yeah.
someone, so so it's like say like you and I, like if I saw you yesterday and you were this big, and then I saw you now if I saw you today and you were that small, like, that'd be like something wrong with it. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
if I saw you a significant amount of time and that happened, and I'm concerned about that in my own life, that's gonna stick out to me. So
Hmm.
I became a vegetarian immediately, and I'm not gonna say I did it right. And please let me know if I need to stop.
No,
Like
no, no,
with my story.
no, no, no. Keep
Uh,
going.
Okay, and so I became a vegetarian, but I learned over time what it really meant to be a vegetarian. But here's what's fascinating: I had converted to Islam when I was a teenager,
Mm.
so I stopped eating pork and beef. Technically, or I should say, yeah, I stopped eating pork and beef long before. So when it was time to be a vegetarian, it wasn't necessarily that hard. I just had to start figuring out what all could I eat. You see, and so I started from scratch. So, for me, it starts with breads and pastas. Even though I could cook, I just didn't, I didn't know. So I just want people to know that when I first became a vegetarian, I didn't know a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of people are vegetarian on paper, but they not vegetarian in their life fully. It takes
In
time
practice.
to be, yeah, it takes practice. So I became a vegetarian. Um, then I started working out. The same friend, I ended up moving in with him, and then he would get up early in the morning and go work out. You see, so I wasn't actually accustomed, to doing early morning workouts because I hadn't done them in a long time. I'd done them before, but
Mm-hmm.
I just hadn't done them in a long time. Like it's one thing to do them for sports, which I think is good practice, but I think that when I don't care about the joy of the game, you see, if that fitness didn't transcend into another part of my life, then once I'm done being an athlete, and that's why a lot of times you see athletes who are out of shape because them
Mm-hmm.
being in shape is only because of the job that they have, what they're
Yeah.
doing at the time. So for me, I feel fortunate that I learned about fitness when I was an adult, not when I was a child, who had the fit body as a kid. I started learning about fitness when I was in my 20s, when in my opinion, I say it like this, when it actually matters. When it starts to deal with lifestyle, not just what you look like. That's why I say I don't really necessarily care how I look.
Yeah.
From there, so then I started working out, right? It took time to get into that, man, getting up at 4:30 and going over. But
Yeah.
see, what happened was because I was at the university and I was using the athletes' gym, that's why I would have to go early because I would have to get in there before they got in there. You see,
Mm-hmm.
so right there, that's my motivation, right? See, so you couldn't motivate me by saying, yeah, let's just get up early. No, I had to have a reason. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then when I got in there and their coach started giving me like their workouts and I started using their equipment, I was like, geez, man, ain't no reason these guys to be losing a basketball game and you getting to work out on this side of equipment.
Yeah.
What's wrong with y'all? And so what they started noticing is I took to the workouts almost more than the athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing their workouts. So I started doing what the basketball team did and doing what the football team did. And then that's when you start noticing, okay, now I'm starting to, like kind of slim down, like, things are happening. But it's also because as I'm working out, I'm also learning how to eat a little bit more, because I'm a vegetarian. So now I'm learning to eat certain things, but I'm also learning about vitamins and learning about minerals, and I still didn't comprehend it all, you see, but it's like I'm just kind of picking up tools here and there. And thank you for letting me tell this story. I'll just say,
Yeah.
so a few times in my life being a vegetarian, I would get sick, and that was because I didn't have all the vitamins I needed. I would develop, I would develop stomach viruses and get sick, lose 10 to 20 pounds, not the way I wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
but, but basically over 4 years, I lost 137 pounds.
Mm.
Over 4 years, I lost 137 pounds. And then I got to my smallest, which was at 165. Now, I got to my smallest, but I didn't look healthy. I didn't necessarily look, because the majority of my life I've been bigger. I mean, you can still see I got some hanging skin, right here,
Mm-hmm.
but my mom convinced me through her prayers and her words to stop losing weight because I was actually obsessed. See, I didn't think I thought I was ugly and unattractive, and I didn't think that I was small enough. And she had to help me stop. So I also want to share that. She had to help me stop. Like
Yeah.
you need to stop, because you're going too far now. You see what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah.
so then I had to kind of get back
I feel like
on.
someone needed to hear that.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't
Like
want to,
for real.
just for real, y'all, because you can go too far. So I had to get back on the bandwagon, and I basically gained. I'm just going to tell you, and what I realized is over the last 3 years is how I've been this tight right here. I technically just gained 50 more pounds and stayed somewhere between 200 and like 215. And so
Mm-hmm.
I basically kind of stayed there. And then, by the time you and I meet, it's like I'm this guy who I can work out. By the time we
Yeah.
meet, I've run some races. I've done a couple of marathons, halves too, and so, but I gotta be honest with you, bro. I didn't, and I'm learning more about how to eat. But I gotta be real with you, man. Like when I look at the fitness that I'm in now, something that I'll say to everybody, I do know that I've done some damage to my body that is not reversible, and some of it didn't have to do with when I was fat. It actually had to do
Mm-hmm.
when I was getting in shape. I was doing too much, I kind of messed up my hip. I almost messed up my knee, running races. So, I would be in the gym hours at a time, right? And then when I stumbled onto insanity, that's when things kind of shifted. I won't lie to you.
Okay.
That's when it shifted, right? So no, I'm saying no correction. So when I stumble into meeting with the military, not trying to, I know y'all are different, but I'm just saying I'm just going
Yeah.
to put y'all in the Navy, the Marines, and then the Army.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the first thing changed for me is when I really saw, oh, I can really be in shape for a longer term of my life. You see, I'm like, all right. And coming to the gym with you all helped me to see that I can do things more effectively if I have the form instead of trying to be in here for hours at a time. You see, so
Yeah.
I gotta give the military. They're like, no, if you do certain things correctly, you're gonna be burning calories on and on and on. You don't have to be in here an hour, you can do 30 minutes, but watch how you eat. I learned
Absolutely.
that from you. Okay, boom. Then I stumbled onto insanity. And when I got into insanity, I ain't gonna lie to you, brother, that's when everything went a little haywire
Mm.
because I did insanity the first time. The first time I did insanity, and I actually lost buku inches. I lost so many inches. I was like, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
like I almost looked like I did, like I do now, only not like with muscles, and with definition.
Mm-hmm.
I just got like thin. And and I mean, to me that is the hardest workout on DVD with
Yeah.
no equipment. It is the hardest one. I mean, I've done it, and I can say this: I've done every beach body workout. I became a coach. I did everything. I'm talking Tai Chi, T90X. I mean, I've done everybody's workout, but insanity, the first one was always the one. And but someone said something to me probably like in 2015. They were like, "You really think you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
be doing insanity when you're 70?" And I was like, "But don't get me wrong. In my
Yeah.
mind, I was like, well, I hope so. You know what I mean? Because I really, like really like insanity. But there's
Mm-hmm.
something, and I'm not trying to bash Sean T because love
Yeah.
Sean T. Would love. I hope to meet
Yeah.
Sean T in person one day. But there was something I noticed about him that was a little disturbing for me is when he went from insanity to insanity asylum, and I saw how thin he got. That
Mm.
just it seemed a little for me. It just seemed freakishly thin. And it was too. It's not the kind of thing that I wanted. His face seemed like it was sunk in. He really
Mm-hmm.
did have abs, but something about it just seemed very superficial for me. I'm not saying that it was for him, but for me it
Yeah.
was because I felt like it became more about how you look
Mm.
more so than how you feel. But I still did all the workouts, and then I kept going, and then But here's the thing, Garfield. I always had
Mm-hmm.
like a little pudge. I always
Mm-hmm.
had like a little, I always had the love handle.
Yeah. Love
I mean, I
handle.
had strong chest traps. My legs were strong, but I never got rid of the flap.
Mm.
But then I'm trying to think, when did it change? Oh, I can tell you exactly when it changed. Graduate. Go to Yale and start learning. I mean, graduate. Well, leave NC State. Resign from there, go to Yale. So now I'm living in Connecticut, and while I was up there, I learned about intermittent fasting.
Mm.
And I already, and I don't have a problem skipping a meal a day, eating until lunch, but this intermittent fasting was a little bit longer. It's like
Mm-hmm.
16, 17 hours no eating, 6, 7, or maybe even 5 hours of eating. You see, like it's a shorter window. And I'll be honest, my brother, that's when this started happening. That's when the muscle started setting in, and then that's when I was like, wait a minute, hold up, all this time I've been doing all these workouts. I've been benching 225. I've been deadlifting 275. I broke my wrist. I've been doing all this. And I remember 8 years ago, I said I wanted to look like Hugh Jackman in Wolverine. I remember it was something, but then I was like, I guess I'll never get to that.
He's jacked.
And now I'm jacked. I look like what he doesn't look like now. And now
Yeah.
it's there. But then that's when I started really understanding what it meant about calorie intake. I was like, this is why they say it is about what you eat. 80% of it is what you
Yep.
eat. 100% is what you.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And so then once I slimmed down, right, and then and what was so funny is it became easy to maintain. You see, because that intermittent fasting, once I eat something, oh man, all my body does is like burn it up. So
Yep.
then
It's all good
now
food.
it's all good food at this point because it's
Yep.
just fuel now. It's just let's just
Yep.
fuel it. But then of course I still started learning about fuel, minerals, and vitamins. And then I'll admit, man, the pandemic in particular was my ultimate push for where I am now.
Mm.
And I'm not trying to, I'm not saying people shouldn't do this. I'm not going there. Please, no, I'm not trying to argue for or against something. I'm
Mhm.
not saying that. But when our country started pushing, almost I felt like forcing people to get the vaccine, I was troubled by that. I was like,
Mhm.
something about that just don't seem right. And it still doesn't seem right to me,
Mhm.
to force people to put something in their body that could harm them. And of course, it showed that in some ways it did. And then of course there are other benefits, I guess, like longer term. But I
Okay.
was like, something about it, I just didn't agree with that. And I am a scientist. Okay. And I'm also a geneticist. And so I was like, I just feel like there's some other things that we could be doing. And so I decided, I told my family, I'm going to also, I know we got protocols to follow. I'll follow those. And I'm also going to get healthy. I'm going to get healthier. So I started, so intermittent fasting, I continued. I know that makes my body a more of a machine. I
Mhm.
started making sure that I stay hydrated, and then I made sure the way that I eat as being a vegetarian, almost vegan, I don't really eat dairy. So I wasn't creating the histamines that would cause people to catch colds. I've had that in a long time. Okay. And I am a very active person. I started jump roping now 2 years ago. And the jump rope in 15 minutes is like people doing 30 to 45 minutes of something else. So it's like I
Yeah.
just stand there. So
Rough
I'm draining,
stuff.
yeah, so I'm draining my lymphatic system. I'm not hurting my feet because I know how to jump rope. I'm not hurting my knees. I have weighted jump rope, so I'm still getting the weight lifting in. I'm still getting, like that type
Yeah.
of um, resistance in. And I don't have to work out as much, so my body's not tore up.
Mhm.
There are two particular vitamins that people were no three in no two vitamins and one mineral that people were lacking. In particular, they say those who caught COVID and those who in particular died of it. Vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc.
Mm.
So so I started cooking more. I started going to the farmers market and actually getting the foods instead of just taking the raw form of vitamins. But I still did
Yeah.
that too. But I'm like, I'm going to start eating more. And so then the more so then the more I ate, I noticed the stronger I got. I
Mhm.
noticed that the more I ate like that, the clearer my skin got. I noticed the more that I de-stressed, the grays started going away. This ain't color like it was grayer than this a year ago. And you see what I'm saying? So then, and then I stumbled on to something else, brother. And I say this, and I know I just been talking. Oh my gosh.
No,
Um,
it's about you.
okay, thank you. I learned about cold treatments, but here's what's fascinating. I accidentally learned about it when I was teaching in Sweden, probably longer than 12 years ago.
The cold part.
The cold part, yeah. I was teaching in the Arctic Circle. So I was in Lake Yari. It's like north of Sweden, between Sweden and Norway.
Mhm.
And they had a sauna. We say sauna. And it was cold. It's so cold. It was above the tree line. This is how cold it was. Trees can't grow. That's how high
Mm.
up we were in the mountains. Trees can't grow. Okay, because that's how cold it is.
Mm.
It ain't gonna work for you if you would. You ain't gonna make it
Yeah.
up. But they had a sauna, and so we go to the sauna, and what they normally do is they go in, and they, sweating, and they go, they have a quarters there where they can rest that's heated. Well, we were staying in tents, so we didn't have heat. Okay,
Mm.
we didn't have any trees, so we didn't have fire. See, so
Ooh.
how do we get warm? And they gave me a little tactic of how to get warm, which is to leave the sauna, go dive in the water because it was a lake, and the lake was
Mhm.
below freezing. I mean, it was below 15 degrees actually, and
Mhm.
be in there for a certain amount of time and then get out, before you would develop hypothermia or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like cold, it's like cold shock. And, to make that story short, I did it. And
Mhm.
after I did it, I noticed that I wasn't cold the rest of the time I was up there. Okay, fast forward last year, I stumbled on the Wim Hof, this guy called, people probably, they see this, they know who he is. And I had already been doing like I've been already been practicing like when I for over a year because I did it when I was in Connecticut. It helped me to deal with the cold. I would take a shower and then at the end of each shower, turn it all the way down to cold, so that my body would my pores were closed and I would adjust to the cold. So I was already doing that. But when I started hearing about start your day with the cold, like take a cold shower first thing in the morning, take an ice bath once a week, I was like, that's interesting. I don't know about that. And now 7 months ago today, I prefer cold showers more than anything. Like it's but and there's so many benefits to the cold shower.
Yeah.
And I also think that that's also why I look like this, because the cold showers don't dry your skin out like a warm shower does. Cold heat. You know what? You remember when we used to go swimming,
Yeah.
and it's like you get out of the pool and you probably almost look like you lost a little weight, you lost some inches. You're like, how
Yeah.
did I lose weight? I was in the
And
water.
prune fingers.
Right, but you still sweating even though you're in the water. Your body is still perspiring. So the same way when you're taking a hot shower, your body is still perspiring. See, and
Especially after a workout.
especially after workout, and perspiration on skin that's already dry leads to the skin wilting even more. So see, so cold showers don't just benefit, you with the fitness, because cold shower jump starts your metabolism. Okay, the cold shower is technically a natural way of waking you up versus going and drinking some coffee. Matter of fact, a cold shower is better, in my opinion, a little bit better than working out, because it gives your body a chance to kind of come to, let it hit your
Yeah.
face, let it hit your head, and then the rest of your body catches up. And the cold sends a signal to the rest of your body. The other
Yeah.
thing about the cold shower is it reduces inflammation. Because it causes blood to draw away from your joints. And then I think I'll shut up with this last piece of this thing that I do. Even though I'm actually observing Ramadan now, so I'm burning calories because I'm not eating all day, but that's nothing to brag about. I'm just sharing that. So in case I look a certain way, it's about that
Hmm.
time. But I also really, my best friend, love, all, everything you can think of. She taught me about inflammation. Okay. And I learned
Hmm.
about that. Okay. And she explained to me that a lot of the sicknesses that we struggle with are really tied to inflammation. Now, I love Indian cuisine, Southeast Asian in particular, but I love Indian cuisine. And so the curry in the food, same similar curry that you find in African food, also Caribbean food, Puerto Rico, Haiti,
Turmeric.
they have you already know where I'm going. They have
Hmm.
anti-inflammatory properties, and you put pepper in there, it amplifies it. So for the last probably like 4 years, I've um, been drinking this anti inflammatory, like liquid that has been so, oh my goodness, man, it's just been good, and it has turmeric, it has lime. I use lime now versus lemon. I put organic sea moss in there. I put a little honey in there if you want, but most days I don't. Put pepper in there, of course, and put oh my goodness, apple cider vinegar. Okay,
Hmm.
with the mother in it. You see, so
Yeah.
everything I try to do now is about minerals, it's about vitamins, it is intentional. And I think that and I really just and I think that over time, what I've learned about being consistent is, if you want to lose weight, it takes being consistent. If you want to get in shape, because losing weight and getting in shape aren't necessarily the same thing, but it does take consistency. But if you want to improve your overall health, which is what I was focused on, I tell people you need to be spiritually one way. So then you physically can be how you are spiritually, because spiritual for me includes mental as well as emotional. And then if you get that physical right, then financially you need to be what you are physically. You see, and so then that way, when challenges come financially, you can handle it. Okay, when things happen emotionally, you can handle it. So the reason why it's important for me to keep the inflammation in my body as low as possible is because depression and getting over depression is natural to the body. Staying depressed is actually not natural to the body. So that's why they say it's a chemical imbalance. You see what I'm saying? You see,
Mm-hmm.
that's why they say that. You see, like that, if you think about it, most sicknesses, mental health sicknesses in particular, a lot of them are tied to chemicals. Okay, it's tied to a chemical imbalance. A lot of like what's going on with our women and fibroids, a lot of that's tied to what they're dealing with environmentally. You see, so if you have environmental um, uh, if you have environmental issues and then you have lifestyle issues that do not counter the environmental issues, you see, then you could be contributing to your own demise. You see, and so that's why I do focus on. I also believe in meditation. I believe that I feel and look the way I do because of meditation and prayer.
Yeah.
But I do believe in God. And that's matter of fact, that's the most important thing. Matter of fact, I believe that's how you should start your day. You
Hmm.
see, like I said, overall health. So I get my spirit right before I go into the day. Some people like to talk and even talk to their loved ones. Oh, I ain't about that. Talk to God first, okay? Because I can't replace God, and get that out of the way. And I
Hmm.
really should just say, get that out of the way. Let that set the tone for the day. And
Yeah.
then I do yoga. I do believe in stretching my body and getting myself ready. See, for me, working out and fitness is worship. And I think
Hmm.
that's why it's such a pivotal part of my lifestyle, because it's worship. And if you're not taking care of your body, to me, that's a sin.
Mm.
So you see, and that's really how, and that's really where it goes for me. And the reason why I'm saying that is not to make anybody feel bad. It's because I understand that that is what it is for me. Fitness is my lifestyle. From the moment I wake up in the morning to the moment I go to bed at night, I am trying to be centered and present and focused on how to help my body to feel good and help me to feel at peace, so that I can then take that peace and share it with other people, so that I can give that love with other people. So my fitness is tied to how I feel, and how I feel is tied to my spirituality, and my spirituality is the most important thing to me, because that's what is where my peace is centered at. That's why I'm anchored. So
Yeah.
there you have it.
Man, I like all of that stuff, man. Um, one thing I want to jump into before we roll out and end the broadcast is to do a little bit of word association. If you're down with that.
I'm down for that.
All right. So pretty much what I'll do is I'll give you a word or a phrase, and you just reply back with the word or phrase, or however you want to respond. How's that sound?
Okay, like I could do a sentence if I wanted to or something.
Yeah, if you want to. It
Okay,
used to be one word, but I'm like, you know what? Let's, you the guest, so I'll let the guests, kind of do what they do, you
thank
know.
you, sir.
So, yes, sir. So the first word is wolf pack.
Go Wolfpack, and that's my family, and those are my dogs.
Second word, 302 pounds.
That person is still inside of me, but I am who I am today.
Fat.
Beautiful.
Motivation.
Best when it comes from within.
Vegetarian.
Not the only way to be healthy and the only way to eat, but it works for me.
Rap.
My number one way to communicate.
Like I snuck that one in there.
Thank you.
FYI, Dr. Easley. Just
Yes,
check
sir.
the comments if you want to find out more about Dr. Easley and his rap career. Insanity.
One of the hardest things I ever did, and I'm glad that I can still do it.
There you go. Number 9 is peace.
The reason why you should make sure that God has your heart.
And number 10, consistency.
The ultimate way to improve your lifestyle.
Boom. Man, I like all those. But before we roll out, man,
Mhm.
I would like for you to take a couple of minutes to say anything fitness related, any words of wisdom or anything like that that you would like to share with my consistency warriors.
Hmm. Oh man. Uh, don't forget to rest. I think that's the other thing that I left out when the whole pandemic came, is resting. Um, fitness is to me, fitness and healthy eating and healthy relationships, to me, go hand in
Hmm.
hand. Okay, because to be a person that's fit or a consistent fitness warrior, I think you have to have a good relationship with your body. And that's one of the primary reasons why, that's another reason why I work. I keep saying primary, excuse me for saying it like that. It's another reason why I care about fitness is I like my body to be subjected to my mind, right? My stomach is already my stomach is the brain for my body. That's why they say sickness is usually started in your gut. But this controls every function of the body is the mind and the
Mm-hmm.
spine, our central nervous system. And so I think that it behooves us to learn about our bodies. And unfortunately, like I'm in my 40s, when you grow up in a society that immaturely talks about menstruation, immaturely talks about nocturnal emissions. I understand why people don't talk about the body. We shame people for sex, so the body is a beautiful vessel. It's a temple, and it can also be a tool, for various things. So I say I look like how I feel. If anything, like if someone gives me a compliment, Thomas, you look great. I'm like, well, I look how I feel then, because to me, that's the most important thing. Do you feel good? Because if I feel good, I want you to feel good. And so if I don't work out, my day just doesn't always go the same. And what I recognize now is I've been basically working out. If I really think about it consistently in the morning, I'm talking about like for real. I've been working out consistently for 20 years.
Mm.
Early morning workouts. But I got to say this though, but I can admit it's only been within the last, I'm gonna tell you, man, it's the last 6 years I
Mm.
probably worked out the most healthiest in my life. It's the last 6 years, you see, and that's why I've literally been consistent. Like, well, I mean, when I say I'm talking about I go to the gym, like I remember I used to go 3 days on, 1 day off. Then I remember I used to go 5 days and then take the full weekend off. Last 3 years in particular. I mean, I do take time off, but the way
Mm-hmm.
my workout, when I wear it on my body, I can just keep going. I don't have to take off because
Yeah.
I'm not wearing myself out. So I don't have to like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to take a week off of working out. Well, I haven't torn my body up so much that I have to do that. If I'm just
Yeah.
doing something that's consistent that keeps my muscles toned and keeps my heart rate, high, and keeps my, lungs active. And if you really think about it, you really shouldn't have to stop working out. So I mean, I've been walking. I calculated. I think I walked over 20,000 miles last year,
Wow.
22,000 to be exact, because I basically worked to walk five miles a day. But
Mm-hmm.
I walked a lot last year. Remember, the pandemic. While everybody was inside, I got outside.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I got my vitamins as natural as I could. Let me give you a little tip, really quick. One of the things you notice is that if you hang around me, which Brother Martin does, I don't necessarily wear sunglasses, because one way you get vitamin D when your skin struggles to absorb it, because you're darkest through your eyes. So that's why I walked around a lot last year. If you think about it, everything that they told us about preventing COVID naturally had to do with fitness, minus the vaccine, that had to do with fitness. If you keep this active, okay, and you have the vitamins and minerals that you need, and you don't have any other comorbidities, you almost actually had nothing to worry about if you caught it, which I did,
Mm.
and beat it like that. Shocked my doctor. He was just like, "How'd you just?" He said, "It's almost like you never had it." I was like,
Hey.
I know. And I told him, I said, I know. I didn't stop doing anything that I was doing. I didn't stop my cold treatments. I didn't stop drinking my anti-inflammatory liquid. I didn't stop intermittent fasting. I stopped doing certain things. I stopped eating late at night. I stopped snacking. And every time I eat a meal, it is intentional. And I'm looking at the time. Look, let me say this one more time for the warriors and for the ain'ts, because I'm sure that there may be some people who are not warriors. When I consume something, it is intentional. Like I'm soon to break my fast. Okay, so because it's about that time. I'm gonna tell people what I'm gonna do, because I want you to know. Because it's not because I'm bragging. I just want you to know. I'm gonna make my anti-inflammatory liquid first. Because if you know anything about, in particular, Asian cultures and parts of Asia, because it's all different cultures, but I'm just saying the continent. In many of those cultures, they drink hot water with lemon or lime before they eat, because it
Mm.
gets your stomach ready and it activates the enzymes. So can you imagine what's about to happen when I drink my
Mm.
anti-inflammatory liquid with turmeric, sea moss,
It's apple
lime,
cider with the
apple cider
mother.
vinegar with the
Yeah.
mother and turmeric? Can you imagine what's about to happen? So my body's about to do this. And then after I sip it, I'm not just going to drink it now. It's going to be hot. I want to sip it. And then after I sip it, I start warming my food up, because I don't eat and drink at the same time.
Mhm.
I don't do that. I don't do that because your stomach not supposed to do that. If you chew and then start drinking while you're doing it, you're tricking your body. It's like just the food just drops in your gut. Those enzymes need to be attacking it as soon as you swallow. So I'm going to sip just a little coffee mug of that, little teacup, excuse me, sit that aside, and then wait about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to eat 2 dates.
Mhm.
Okay, 2 days and see. So and in particular those who who practice Islam, they'll understand why, like why in particular we use dates. Okay, so eat the date, get my body ready, and then that's when it's time to eat. You see,
Mhm.
so dates also have a lot of fiber in it. So by the time I put other food in my body, it's already tearing that up. Do you see what I'm saying? And see,
Mhm.
and I'm saying that's the way that I eat. I think very systemically like that. If I wasn't observing Ramadan, what I would probably do, I would probably still make that warm juice, or I'll probably make me a smoothie that is with kale and greens and stuff like that, just to get my body ready to for the fiber to attack the other food, like
Mhm.
once I start eating it. So everything that I do now about eating, particularly, is intentional. I prefer to cook my food. I grew up eating cooked food, not eating fast food. The last 10 years, I noticed that majority of what I've been doing is fast food, and I've now gone back to eating. I shouldn't say that fast vegetarian food because you're
Yeah.
actually doing that vegan spots or at cultural like Indian spots or Thai places, but cooking on my own, I want to tell you that that's still the healthiest thing that you can do, and that's it.
Hey man, I appreciate you being here. Appreciate your time, man. Every time I talk to you, I learn something, and I'm sure that all the warriors that's watching today are going to learn something as well, man. So, like I said, appreciate you for coming out. And until
Thanks for
next
having me.
time, stay consistent and stay fit. 365 days a year. We are out.
Peace.